Okay. Yep, and we're live. It is Saturday, the 3rd of May. I'm here with John and myself, Brian, and we're going to be taking a quick look at how to squash commits. Okay, so let's take this little temporary GitHub repo that I've just created. So it has one file, temp file, and I'm just going to commit that in as and put a random commit message. No. Yep, I need to add that to being tracked. Okay. So when I look at my history, I only have one commit. So that's committing the temp file. So let me create another file and then commit that and then create a new commit message. So now I have two commits. So the way you can do this, there's really neat. Okay, let me show you another trick actually. How Git's interactive mode, how it works. So there's a way you can add files through interactive mode. Did I talk about that before?
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Yep. So say I have this file that I haven't tracked, named interactive mode. Then I want to add something. So I type git add and then -i. So -i means running in interactive mode. So what it does is it brings up this little like command line program that has a couple of commands that you can use, and then you can slowly add one file after the other. So for example, I wanted to do this option. You can type in the number or the first letter, whichever is more convenient. So I typed in A, so that means add untracked files.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks, and then it comes up with a list of untracked files, and this is just one of them, which is just the interactive mode. So I can just add that to being tracked, and then after that's done, it'll have an asterisk after the file, and I just type enter again, and now everything is added. The okay, other interesting things are patch, which is for changes to the current to tracked files. I'll show you in a bit. So quitting, so that means that just applies all the changes. So
Mm-hmm.
now this is tracked. So if I want to edit this file and maybe add some contents, okay, ignoring my bad spelling, then I can type git add I again. This time it's already tracked, so I'll just
Mm-hmm.
patch it. So that's this one, option 5. And then the neat thing about it is once you add that and you press enter, it actually shows you the change, each little snippet of the changes. So in this case, it's just that one line. So
Oh,
you can have, you can check that you aren't adding a little debugger line or something. So it's
right.
kind of, yeah, to
Extra
catch them.
spaces. Yeah.
Yeah,
So does it bring those up one at a time, basically?
yeah. It brings
Okay.
about groups of 1 or 2, 3 lines like that, really small
Right.
snippets at a time. Yeah, and you can split it up as well. So if you type help, it shows you all the options you have in this interactive mode, like split. You can actually split this into smaller hunks if it's possible. So
Okay.
maybe you have 2 lines, but you didn't want to commit one of them. You can split it up and then add the one you want individually. So it's quite a neat mode. I actually learned during my work. Yeah, so I've got this now, and then I can just commit this. Cool. So now in my history, I've got 3 files. Now to squash this, I have to you the way I've learned it is to use interactive mode. So I need to type git rebase -i interactive mode, but then I need to specify how far like behind am I gonna look.
Mm-hmm.
So this means from my head go to the second branch behind the head.
Head 1 is the front or head 0 is the front?
I think head 1 is the front. Or no, head 0 is the front. But I think
So
in
you are looking at all your commits right there when you
yeah,
do 2?
no.
Okay.
When I do 2, I think it's looking from that commit onwards and not included. Do you know what I mean? So I have 3 commits, so I'm head tilde 2 is going to the last commit, but then
Right.
only looking at the commits after that.
And that is because you're going to squash them all into that one, right?
No, I think it's just not included in the lookup.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. I haven't figured out all these little details. So when you do interactive mode, it comes out with an editor. This text in your editor actually. So my preferred editor is Vim, so it comes up in Vim. So this is your latest commit. This is your previous commit. And what you want to do is, so you have all these options like pick, use commit, edit, fix up, and stuff. But the more interesting one is here, squash, this option. So what it does is it squashes the one commit into the previous one. So that's why I need to do it down here instead of up there.
Okay.
So I'm going to squash this commit into the previous one. So when I save and exit, it's going to come up with another file. But this time you just have to pick which of the commit messages you want. So for example, I can keep the first commit message. This is the commit message for the previous one, or I could just keep the next one, the latest commit message, or I can write a completely new one, like, squashed commit history. So that updates the history, and now you have, so my latest commit is up here with a new message, squash commit history, and that just squashed the last 2 commits into one.
Right.
Yeah. I think you can do that for multiple files as well by typing squash, 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 squash. But yeah, I usually just do it with one very small number of commits, so I haven't had a lot of experience doing it with like long strings of commits. Yeah, so that's squashing.
Cool.
Simple. Yeah. Well, another interesting thing you might want to know. For example, I want to create a new file. Add that file. Now, instead of, if you want to squash it, if you would just want to add that to your previous commit without, having to go through the whole process of committing and squashing, you can actually do commit, amend, and you can even change the message along with that, but it adds all the files. Oh, it still asks for your commit message anyway. And so that updates the previous commit, changes the hash, but it doesn't. It doesn't create a new commit. So git commit -- amend.
Okay, so that will work with your most recent commit, adding in whatever you just.
Yeah.
Whatever changes.
If you haven't created a new commit, but you want to merge all those changes into your previous commit, you do git commit -- amend.
Oh, that's perfect. So like when I push something, I push, and I realized I didn't add a certain file, I can do commit amend and then push again. Well, add it, commit amend, and then push again.
The interesting thing about that is if once you've pushed it, the GitHub has that history of your GitHub Git commits. So once it sees that when you do something like that, it changes the hash of your commit, and then you have to forcefully override it by using git push f,
--
which is usually -- force.
Okay.
Which is probably not a good thing. So when you're doing all this squashing and amending, try not to do it to stuff that you've already pushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it causes lots of problems. And squashing, you should never squash stuff that's already committed to a shared repository. Because that's, right, looks like I've got a call, but yeah, you should never commit anything to, sorry, this is distracting.
Yep,
yeah,
no, I got you.
Don't squash stuff that's already up in a public repo.
Yep.
Cool, alright.
Alright, thanks for this.
That's
Talk
the
to you
end of the
later.
lesson. No worries. Alright, sorry it couldn't be longer.